Things that we've seen from this Mercedes, and obviously with BOP, things tend to kind of up and down a little bit, but the car seems to be able to use curbs and never lose its platform.
Right.
It's just remarkably compliant, if you will.
Well, it's got everything, Greg. It struggles a little bit with the downforce that it creates in terms of straightaway speed, maybe compared to a couple of the other marques, but everything else it does well.
Yeah.
It's a mega car. It's been so successful around the globe.
That's a good
GT
point.
Championships.
Once it gets into something quick where that arrow kicks in, it's pretty impressive, yeah. Running out of time, though. Down to 13.5 minutes.
He's able to carve the corners, though.
Yeah, he
Cooper's
sure
hanging on here a little bit. And again, that tire deck, looking at some of the lap times now, they're definitely dropped off about a second to a second and a half over what we saw earlier in the race with their teammates.
Remember, this is essentially round 4 of the championship, the makeup race.
He defends. Morad makes a late move, gets down to the inside.
Now can he make it? He does.
Oh, Cooper tries to square it off, and now it's going to be a drag race. Morad immediately goes into defense, which he's entitled to do, as long as he makes that move first. Cooper says, okay, well, you may think you're defensive, but look at this.
Look at this.
He's off the road there, trying to make the move back. So suddenly the racer's instinct kicked in and forgot about the big picture of the championship. Morad fights him hard all the way down to the apex. Great racing here. Gets forced out wide a little bit. I think he'll be okay with the track limits. I think he was forced over there.
I think so, too.
Johnny O is closing in on these two as these two duke it out.
Yeah, he's definitely. And look at that. Morad knew Cooper was going to try and slice the inside, just parked it over there.
He was up for that. Game of chess. You want to be one move ahead, at least.
Yep. Well, and that's one of the magic things is you watch the really, really good drivers, and Morad just exhibited there, exiting a turn to have that instinct, that blind instinct to be able to put the car right where that guy wants to go.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, Greg. Just the racer's mentality kicked in. You can feel, even if you can't see the car, you can feel them around you. You can feel them on your fender.
And I think in your mind, don't you also go, what would I do? I'd square up and come over here, so that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah, you know where you've compromised your speed, which would give the advantage to the guy behind you, and you've got to be thinking about their mentality and what they'd be doing, as you just said.
Right, now we'll see. Does he? And he's already opened it up a little bit here.
Yeah, he really flies through that like carousel type corner. I think that's why he's trying to make the move early in the lap, and then through those last handful of corners before we finish the lap, then gap him like he's done and take the pressure off.
Tell you, the last couple of laps too, Pierre Caffer, the number 4 Magnus Audi, has run some laps half a second quicker than O'Connell and the guys up front. He's got a lot of room in terms of the gap back to him, but he's shown good speed. Just nice to see.
Pappas to Sofronis for Pro-Am down to 4 seconds. Shine only a couple of seconds behind Sofronis. So even if Sofronis thinks, you know what, I'm just going to bring this home ahead of the 16.
There's another look at that great pass. And then
the immediate defense. And then we get down to turn 12 and it continues. And this is where Michael really went for it. Through this next one, Greg, you recognized it.
Yeah,
like
right
pinch
here.
And then another little pinch.
Yeah. And he has been able to stretch that margin just a little bit.
Yeah, Morad looking really good here. This would be a strong podium run for that team. Came out the block so strong. Oh!
The 90 of Corey Friedman.
Up in turn 1. There's a big bump there, Greg. Talking to the teams, they said there's 2 bumps right before you get on the brakes, and then right when you're in the middle of the brake zone. And it's easy to do this, get some lockup.
Well, it looked like he was compressed into that bump, went to the brake, and it released, and that just locked. Yeah. Now he's just got to get back in his rhythm just a little bit. There's a couple of bumps that are for. There's those.
Yeah.
I was talking to Jerome Bleekemolen, and he said right at the exit of that triple apex right-hander, he said right on the line as it starts to fall away. He said there's a big one there.
We've had so much rain and not just talking about the flooding, the horrendous flooding here in Texas this week, Greg, but over the last couple of winters, this circuit and Austin in general has had a tremendous amount of rainfall, and it's just really moved a lot of the dirt. There's a really good grounding underneath the race surface, but beneath that, just the general dirt has really been moved around a lot. When you just drive the public roads, you see it as well.
We're just watching Friedman there. Reason is he's leading in the GT Cup Am category. There is the number 54, Pappas, leading in the Pro-Am category. As he rolls onto the throttle of that Mercedes, if we can get that shot to open up a little bit, you're going to see the blue number 14 of Sofronis actually lost just a smidge that lap.
3.7.
Yeah, so Pappas found it. There it is.
So it looks like James is generally about 4 to 5 tenths quicker than Pappas, but time is running out. He would love to get maximum points here today.
Absolutely, he would. He's got Shine behind him, which was job number 1. And if he can get somebody in between himself and Shine and steal more points away, that's huge. By the way, just heard from Race Control that move on they said the pass from number 8 and number 2 is under review from Race Control.
Looked like good racing, but obviously just because it's under review, it's just they want to take another look at it. Doesn't necessarily mean that action will be taken.
Absolutely correct. Just boy, James is. This is one of those moments when you can see it. Look at that bump right there. I mean, there is some significant, which adds some character to the tracks. I mean, a lot of drivers, you know, you think about Sebring and you ask, so should we put pave? No.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
That's when you know your way through those bumps. It's a great game changer. There's Shine too, so there's your margin.
Yeah.
There's Pappas getting around and no action, as you called it, Cal, on the 8 and the 2. So good deal there.
I think they're maybe just looking to see if they want to even throw a warning at either one of those guys. I'm not sure which of the 2 cars they're actually looking at, because they're both racing pretty hard. Probably Morad in terms of the defensive driving in line once he got the position made.
There's Sofronis now. He's got right in front of him is the number 55. That is the GT Cup Pro-Am leading Lamborghini, now in the hands of Yuki Hirata from Dream Racing. And Sofronis has got to get through him now to get to Pappas. Pappas is doing actually a very nice job now.
He is. He's just got to focus forward and just keep hitting his marks.
7 minutes.
The gap is coming down a little bit each lap. Just keep doing what you're doing. You should have enough margin to bring it home.
Well, it's got to be awfully calming, if you will, to have in your radio Journal Oblique on.
Yes.
Just here's what you need to do. You got this, you know. All in a Dutch accent, of course.
And big news this week is they announced they're going to be competing at Bathurst next year. Was Jeroen participating with the Black Swan, and
how fun is that?
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I guess Calvert Jones, one of the local guys, going to be teaming up with them.
Oh, okay, yep.
David Calvert Jones.
Seen a lot of him in GT Cup competition here stateside over the years. There's the number 4 of Caffer we were talking about. Having a good run here, running at 6, but Adderley Fong has thrown down some laps. His last lap was a half second quicker than Caffer. This is for 6th. And Adderley is on it here. Great to see in the Bentley.
Yeah, I think he's really come on strong this year. Certainly showed flashes last year, but this year been so much more consistent. Just seems to be more at peace, just in his general demeanor in terms of how he conducts the race weekend is how I read it from the outside anyway, Greg. And certainly we're seeing it in his performances as well.
That's a good point. He's a little less intense is a good way to put it. And you talk to him and you sense he's just really enjoying things. And
well, the pressure's off too. When you look for that first win, when you get that, it's suddenly you feel like I've arrived. I've proved my point. I belong here at this level. I can compete with these guys. And he was simply sensational at Road America.
So keep you up to date, folks. Last lap long, running a little bit quicker than Mancinelli, and has been able to solidify that margin at 2.6 seconds, and then another 9 back to Murad. So that's where it is right now. So this is getting to be an intriguing battle for 6, and of course keeping an eye on that GT Pro-Am battle between Pappas, Sofronis, and Shine. And Tim Pappas doing a nice job there. All right, what do we see for times in this one here? Fong just turned a 2:09.0 to a 2:09.36 for Caffer. Gotta admit, the sound of that V10 in those cars is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it is very sweet. And this is where that car should really excel here through these high downforce corners.
The Cadillac boys having a bit of a go here.
I'd be amazed if Johnny O takes away these precious points from his teammate. He may bump draft him over the line, but he's just going to sit there and even if he's got a faster car. He'd faded back quite a bit, but it seems like Michael Cooper's really come back to him now after that fight with Morad. I'm not sure if he took too much out of his tires in terms of fighting that Mercedes off, but either way, you'd have to think that the Cadillac management would just say, just hold positions, boys, just bring it home.
Yeah.
A couple of top fives is okay.
Yeah, and 4 minutes to go. You know what? Knowing Johnny, you don't have to tell him that. You know, he's played this game before where he's been the guy who's benefited from a wingman.
But Michael, you're buying dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'll give you points. You give me barbecue here in Texas.
Michael may say, oh, Johnny's never bought me dinner in my life, so I expected to pay.
Oh, what a great complex of corners here. It's triple right. What's so cool about this track? Ooh, what's so cool about this track is how it's patterned and laid out after so many great corners around the world. And Sellers attacking on Eversley, isn't it?
A couple of the Atlanta domicile boys having a go at it here in the late going.
And white flag next time, pass start finish for the 48 Porsche of Long. Well, Jorg doing the job in that first stint, getting the jump out to the front so far, other than through the pit stop exchange. Ooh, Eversley running a bit wide there.
And Mancinelli probably got Pat Long's attention, and he probably is wondering how much more does he have in his bag of tricks, but
yeah,
it kind of plateaued a little bit, and then Pat was able to do his thing and just manage this very nicely.
This is a solid run by that number 6 McLaren. Lewis and Sellers, as you said, coming from the back now and sitting in 9th, looking at an 8th up against this Gus Field.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what they can do in qualifying tomorrow here, because they struggled a lot yesterday. Suddenly, the final practice session today, both of the K-Pax cars are up in the top 5 on fresh rubber. It's hard to read who's showing what in practice. When you get to qualifying, that's the real deal, and we know the track position is so critical.
That is Long, who just made a pass on the 77 of Preston Calvert. The yellow car right there is Mancinelli. That's your margin. And we are looking at the white flag. Pat comes through this time. Boy, this Wright Motorsports team has just been superb.
Well, you know, when you look at the ingredients, everything's there.
Yes.
I mean, they had a full season program versus an abbreviated season together last year, with Pat switching teams after a couple of events. And John Wright's one of the savviest engineers in the paddock. Pat Long told Porsche, this is where I want to focus this year and win this title. And when you team him up with guys like Jörg Bergmeister and Mark Lieb, you're going to see John Wright give him the orders. 1 lap to go, Pat.
Final lap, round 4 of the championship, the makeup race from the rain postponed event at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Light getting low in the sky. This is one of my favorite times of racing. Dusk, the lights come on. Start to see the glow of the rotors just a little bit. And you can still see the cars whistling through.
It was interesting to look at Perren's last lap. We talked about the 9 car getting back out there to get to the 50% drive time and score some points. Just laid down a 2:08.5. That compares to mid-9s for the leaders. So maybe Pirelli will have something to come back with tomorrow if he's got a quick car.
Well, and that is important because obviously they need that to qualify. This is one of those races where normally in the one of the earlier races in a weekend, the fast lap of the race sets the stage for the next. Not for this, because this is a makeup race. So it's one of those weird moments here where we get this race done and then we qualify for the next one as well.
I think that qualifying session here in the morning, Greg, is so critical to this overall championship picture.
Well, every driver you talk to now says because of that real aero sensitivity on the cars, that qualifying, you're on the sword for every lap in that session, and it's mega important.
But the key is with these tires here, it's your 1 lap. You've got to get it cleared out. As Victor Alvaro said, you get 1 lap, and the sweet spot's gone.
Sweet spot's gone. It's timely as well. Ooh, that's going to be fun. Well, Pat Long through the stadium and now into 16, 17, into 18. Watch the bump right there. Little bump there as you set up for 19. Tricky enough corner as well. He's got enough of a lead. 3 seconds last time by. Long into the final corner. Wright Motorsports, Pat Long, Jörg Bergmeister, and Porsche win at Circuit of the Americas. There's the celebration on the pit wall. Jörg just remarkable, as you would expect in his opening stint, getting that beautiful pass right up through turn 1 into the lead. And they controlled the race from that point on. Mancinelli into second, and Murad a fighting third. Great to see that here. Oh, and look at this in the Pro-Am. 14, Safronis has gone around Pappas, and there's Shine. It's that close, Cal.
Wow, that is huge. What a last lap here for James Safronis. Just had enough time on the board to catch Tim Pappas make the move. The key now is, can Pappas hang on to that second position and gap Safronis to Shine? One extra position that will really tighten things up here tonight.
And Shine right now.
Look at the track limits there. He was outside. He was out of bounds.
And Shine right now knows, I've got to get Pappas here if he possibly can. All right, through the last turn, Safronis onto the front straight. Porsche wins in Pro-Am as well, with the Mercedes in second from Black Swan. In third, the Wright Motorsport Porsche, covered by the proverbial blanket. Top 3, the podium in Pro-Am. Absolutely great stuff there. And apparently, the number 54, Pappas, just ran a little wide. Here's a look at it, Cal. Oh, boy.
Well, you wonder, he kind of, whether he was under pressure or got a little nerve. Either way.
Was that nerve or nerf?
Yeah, struck a nerve with the nerf. Possibly. We didn't see any contact, but the way that Pappas just drove by Safronis like he wasn't happy, he was either mad at himself or mad at James. I'm not sure on this in lap.
That's a very good point. In the Am category in our GT ranks, the number 30, Momo Ferrari, a points leader, Enrique Cisneros. In this